What up guys, it's me, Metro Tattoo Gamer here, and I love action RPGs, and I also love the PlayStation Vita. And today, I'm going to share with you guys 10 awesome, amazing, fantastic action RPGs on the PlayStation Vita. I've included some hidden gems, as well as some underrated games, and a few imports. There's even one game that I will talk about it having an English translation that I highly recommend, and maybe even the number one could be quite obvious if you know who I am and what one of my favorite video game series is of all time. I have here by every single action RPG on the PlayStation Vita. So let's dive in to this fantastic handheld console and go over 10 amazing action JRPGs on one of the greatest handhelds of all time, the PlayStation Vita. Starting off with number 10, I am going in with a banger here, that being God Eater 2. This is the sequel to the original God Eater. It was also released on the PlayStation Portable. There's also God Eater 2 Rage Burst, an enhanced version of the game that we only got on the PlayStation 4. And it also came with a remaster of the first game called God Eater Resurrection. And this is basically anime sci-fi meets Monster Hunter. You play as a created character who is a member of this group called Fenrir. You are known as a God Eater, and you are armed with a God Art, which can transform between a melee weapon and a ranged weapon like a gun, or a shotgun, or like bazooka, or a minigun. And then you have like swords, lances, and you also have shields, and your God Art can also like have this giant monster mouth that can attack enemies as well as absorb parts of them in order to create better weapons, armor, and equipment, just like in Monster Hunter. But it is very more anime, and I love Monster Hunter, and I'm really enjoying God Eater. Now, sadly, this game was only released in Japan. As I said, we only got it on PlayStation 4 here in the West. But if you really want to play this game on the go, I would highly recommend getting it on the PlayStation Vita, as it's not only cheap, but it is highly common. This is a very common game. I see it a lot on PlayStation Vita. You can also get the Rage Burst version as well. Couldn't go wrong with getting into the God Eater series. It is absolutely amazing. Now, next up, number 9, another Monster Hunter style clone. This is Freedom Wars, and just like God Eater, this is basically sci-fi anime meets Monster Hunter, as you play as a prisoner who is sentenced to a ridiculous amount of like 10 million years in prison just for being born, and you are tasked with having to fight these otherworldly monsters in order to basically earn back your basic human rights as well as your own freedom. And there's a really amazing story to unfold throughout the entirety of this game. And just like in God Eater, you have a weapon that can swap between a melee form as well as a ranged form in the form of guns, miniguns, shotguns, and all that. And there is a modern remaster that came out recently for PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, Steam. I believe it skipped Xbox, I could be wrong. That was done by the original creators as well as published by Bandai Namco. Now on the PlayStation Vita, this is definitely a must-have for all Vita collectors. This is a fantastic game, and it also was published by Sony, so it was kind of considered a first-party game, but now it is gone third-party. I absolutely freaking love this game. This is one of my favorite games on the PlayStation Vita. really gotta play Freedom Wars. Okay, next up, number 8. This is another Japanese import, and luckily this does have a full English translation. This is Phantasy Star Nova, which is basically like a spin-off side story of Phantasy Star Online 2, as it kind of takes place in the same universe, and you play as a member of this ship crew that crash land on this alien planet, and you're going out exploring, and you have all sorts of different weapons, and you're fighting off monsters, and I believe there are some Monster Hunter type elements to this game. That was something that I heard when I was doing some research before I even picked up this game, and you can get it fairly cheap. And I feel like this game is a hidden gem on the PlayStation Vita. It's a lot of fun. Even if you aren't able to play the English fan translation, which you will need a modded Vita in order to do so, it is pretty easy to get into just playing the base Japanese version. And this is one game that I really wish got a port out here in the West. Maybe someday Sega could port this game onto modern systems like the PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, and Steam. Just, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are in love with the Phantasy Star series, especially the newer ones like I am. Like, I really like Phantasy Star Universe as well as this game. And I'm really enjoying my time playing Phantasy Star Nova. You have all sorts of different weapons, from like swords, lances, shields, guns, pistols, and all that, and you can customize your own character and go out on missions. It's a lot of fun. And then next up, got another Monster Hunter-esque clone. I kind of grouped these first 4 games all together as they have very similar gameplay structure, where you create your own character and you go out on missions fighting monsters, gathering up parts and items and weapons and equipment and all that in order to get stronger. This is Ragnarok Odyssey Ace, which also was released on the PlayStation 3. And there's also the vanilla version, which is just Ragnarok Odyssey. Now Ace is an enhanced version with like more stuff added to it. And this is more along the lines of like Monster Hunter, where it's more fantasy based, and you have different classes from like assassin to swordsman to mage and all that, and they each have their own weapons. Like the assassin has the katars, which are these like twin blades, and then mage has like staff, and the swordsman has its great sword and all that. And there's different areas to explore. Now this does have a lot more like traditional RPG elements to it, where you kind of level up via these cards that you attach to your weapons and equipment and all that, but you do have like regular HP and stamina and different special attacks that you would find in other action RPGs. And this one is also a lot of fun. I'm really liking the Monster Hunter style of RPGs, of just going out on all these different quests, exploring these vast areas, fighting all sorts of different enemies in order to upgrade your armor and weapons and all that, and just feel very strong. The satisfaction of taking down these monsters is a lot of fun. Now, I am an anime lover, so I had to add a anime based game, this here being Sword Art Online Lost Song. Now there's a couple other Sword Art Online games, but this one was the only one that got released on here in the West, and it is available on other systems. But to be honest, I feel like this game is best played in handheld form on the PlayStation Vita Now, Sword Art Online Lost Song takes place in the virtual reality MMORPG called Alfheim Online, and for the main part of the story, you are playing as Kirito and his band of girls, as well as some other friends of his, and some random, like, new characters that just, like, popped up out of the blue. That's kind of the biggest drawback, I feel like, when it comes to the Sword Art Online games, is that they have, like, all these original characters that just come out of nowhere. But I honestly do like the Sword Art Online. I really enjoyed the first couple of seasons, but then, like, the last few seasons, I've been having kind of a hard time getting into it. But I really do like Alfheim Online, playing as these different fairy classes and being able to fly through the skies and fight different monsters, leveling up, gaining new skills, playing as some of my favorite characters from the anime, like Kirito and Asuna, and just going through the story, which honestly, I can't really tell you what the story is all about. I picked this game mainly just for the gameplay alone and the fact that it's part of Sword Art Online. So, yeah. And here's another weeb type game. Now, this is more of a warrior-style action RPG. This is Fate Extella, the Umbral Star, and it's a direct sequel to Fate Extra from the PlayStation Portable, which was a turn-based RPG. And then there's a third game called Fate Extella Link, which is also another Muso Warriors type RPG. And here you have all these different servants that you can play as. You start off with Nero Claudius, aka Red Saber. She's a Saber class servant, and it's kind of takes place in like a virtual reality world, and you're going through like the Holy Grail War and all that. Now, the Fate series, I am very new to the Fate franchise. It's kind of confusing to really talk about the story here, but if you love these action hack and slash RPG warriors types games and you like the PlayStation Vita, you couldn't go wrong with getting Fate Extella, the Umbral Star. I really like playing these kind of games. You can pick it up, play a mission or two for like an hour or so, and go through the story at your own pace. Unlocking different characters to switch and play as is a lot of fun, and adding like different skills and boosting stats of your characters, and just hacking and slashing through giant armies of different enemies, fighting bosses and all that is very satisfying. Okay, next up, got another, well, I guess you could call Tokyo Xanadu a hidden gem. I know Taylor from the Gaming Shelf absolutely loves Tokyo Xanadu, and the best way to describe it as he describes it is Ys meets Persona. So it's an action RPG with a very similar battle system to the Ys series. You have different characters that you just swap between as you're exploring the dungeons that take place in like this alternate dimension or whatever, and then outside of the dungeons you have like your basic Persona-esque type of game where you play as a high schooler, and you have all sorts of different people that you meet up with, and you could like take on some like odd jobs, and you have like free time and all that, and it goes off of like a calendar system, kind of like in Persona. But it's an action RPG, very anime. Each chapter opens up with the game's theme song called Seize the Day, which is a pretty good theme song. I would highly recommend checking it out. And Tokyo Xanadu does have an enhanced version called Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, which recently got released on the Nintendo Switch. It's also available on PlayStation 4, which you could also play on PlayStation 5. And I believe it's available on Xbox, or I could be wrong, maybe Steam. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you want to play it in handheld, you can pick up just the vanilla version on the PlayStation Vita. Now, fair warning, the PlayStation Vita version is pretty hard to come by, and it is pretty expensive. I got lucky and found the limited edition at one of my favorite game stores. And this game is a lot of fun. I thought it was going to be like the Trails series, where it has a crap ton of characters to introduce and all that. But after playing the first couple chapters, I gotta say I'm completely wrong. Okay, so next up is Ys Memories of Celceta, the very first game I ever played in this amazing action RPG series from Falcom. Now, you play as a young adult Christian who has entered the great forest of Celceta alone, emerging sometime later without any memory of what transpired there, or even who he is, and he is tasked by the Governor General of Casnan City, the frontier city of the Celceta region, to go back into the forest, map it out, and along the way he is also recovering his lost memories and unraveling an 800-year-old mystery in the process. Now, this is a really fun game, just like all the other ones that I have mentioned in this video that I have played, and I really enjoyed this one. This was the very first game I played in the series, and I absolutely love it. It's not the best in the franchise, but it's definitely one that gets overlooked a lot, so I guess you could call Memories of Celceta a hidden gem on the Vita. It's also available on the PlayStation 4, and I hear it will be coming to Nintendo Switch sometime in the near future, so Switch users look forward to being able to play that game. Now, next up, I chose the second to last game, a really great, fantastic game from Vanillaware with a very beautiful, gorgeous storybook, watercolor-esque art style. This is Odin Sphere, a 2D side-scrolling hack-and-slash action RPG where you play as different characters in this overarching story where they are fighting over like the power of some kind of like cauldron or whatever that can shape the fate of the entire world. And you start off playing as a Valkyrie named Gwendolyn, and then you play as other characters like Oswald, Cornelius, who was a prince of a kingdom that got turned into a rabbit. There's also Velvet, who is secretly a princess of, well, I'm not going to spoil exactly who she is. And then you also have the Princess of the Fairies that you get to play as, and when you play as her, it's kind of like a side-scrolling shmup. And you're going through all these different stages, fighting enemies and bosses, and you level up by either cooking food or like planting fruits and vegetables that you then eat and gain experience, and you can level up your stats and get even stronger. There's also skill trees that you can unlock different skills and all that throughout the game and level them up using phosons that you can absorb. And you have a weapon called the Cipher that is able to absorb those phosons, and you can level that up as well. And it's a really great game with a very beautiful soundtrack, story, cast of characters, and everything. I absolutely love Odin Sphere, Leithrasir. Now we get to number 1, which is one of my all-time favorite games on the PlayStation Vita, and my second favorite Tales game, Tales of Hearts R. Now this one is going to be quite obvious for fans of my channel who know that I am a huge fan of the Tales series. Now, Tales of Hearts R is a game where you play as Core Meteor, as well as Hisui Hearts and Kohaku Hearts, and there's other characters like Kunzite and Inez Gruner, who is a new character added to this remake, as this was a remake of a Nintendo DS game. And there's also Beryl Benito, who is an inspiring artist, and she's like the youngest like lolly type character in this game. And you are the characters in these game have a thing called a soma, which is attached to, well, not really attached to them, but they use the soma in combat, which can take on the form of whatever weapons that best suit their fighting style. And you can level up your soma, and that will allow the weapon to be upgraded to different types instead of going to like shops and buying new weapons and all that. And you can also enter people's hearts in order to take on these creatures that have infested the world called Zerahoms. And you're kind of just going through the world trying to find the shattered pieces of Kohaku's heart and regain her emotions, as well as finding out the true source of the Zerahoms. And you come to find out that there's another world that you have to go to and stop a great evil. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the games that I picked out and me just briefly going over each and every single one of them. Now, next week, I will be following up by covering turn-based JRPGs on the PlayStation Vita, so look forward to that. And you can be notified when I upload that video by subscribing and ringing that notification bell. And also, if you guys did enjoy this, let me know by smashing that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. I try to answer every single comment that I can. And until next time, I am Mecha Otaku Gamer signing out. Peace!